All right, we are live streaming Troy Miller, so anything you say can and will be held against you going forward. So be careful. Be careful with what
We
you
just
say.
hope everything keeps working. That's all. Just everything keeps
I
working.
know. You know what, audience? As we begin to do this week's critique, just a little inside baseball of what's going on over here. I've been plagued with, I don't know, just issues lately. I think it's been Troy, I think it's been since iOS 17, to be honest with you. I haven't seen
Could be.
any bad stuff like all year. Nothing, everything's been running smoothly, and then iOS 17, and now I'm having all kinds of weird issues with audio and bandwidth and everything. So I even did a
Yeah.
full teardown. Took the whole, I changed my office around. It's a different scene now. I did a full teardown, rebuild. What I haven't done, Troy, is put that router in. So, Troy gave me some tips on better router
Right.
configuration. I haven't implemented those. So that's the last thing I need to do. But you know what? If I can't get this sorted, you know what I'm doing? I'm gonna do a Ripley from Aliens One. I'm gonna
Yeah.
nuke it from orbit.
Nuke
It's
it
the only
from
way to be
orbit.
sure. It's gone. Like low level format of the computer, like everything. Tear it all down, check every cable, all that stuff. The fun stuff. So,
And being the
but
type A guy that you are, you look forward to that. I know you
I
do.
do. It's a thing, man. I have to do it. Type A, whatever. These are just
Yeah.
badges, whatever.
Kira and
Yeah,
I were
I
talking.
good.
Kira and I were talking the other day, and that's my daughter. We're both very type A and very control oriented, and we were talking about like house remodeling and things and earthquakes and just our lives being in an upheaval. And Kira and I are both like, oh well, if everything fell off the shelf, that means I get to reorganize the shelf. Like yes,
There you go. There
and
you go.
everybody else is like, that's like the worst thing ever.
I
Like
know, I know. Hey, you know that this is our pre-critique chit chat, people. So we'll start the critique in just a second. So Troy, I've been trying to get rid of that Stairmaster. You remember this Stairmaster I told you that I
yeah,
got?
yeah,
So Peter Levson was up here, and they had one of those traveling vans that they were
yeah,
they were
yeah.
road tripping in, and I was like, Peter, come by the house and get the Stairmaster. It's all yours. Go take it. He said no, they couldn't take it. So I was at Home Depot yesterday, and some dudes were loading in a exercise bike that they just purchased onto the back of their truck, which clearly looked like it had enough space for a Stairmaster. So I pulled up to him. I was like, guys, it's gonna sound weird, but would you like a Stairmaster? Just to. And now there's no more Stairmaster. It's gone. Poof.
Yay!
Yay. Gone.
I'm
The
sure.
end of that
I'm
journey.
sure they're like, "What's the hook? Like, we're gonna get to the house. They're gonna kidnap us. They're gonna."
I thought about that. Yeah, I thought it. No, no, no. I went into non-threatening Urkel mode for him. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah. So yeah, so it was all good. They're the nicest guys in the world. They're from the next town over, and boom, and they're like,
Cool.
"Yeah, dude, I'm building out my home gym, and now I just finally got this bike, and now I have a stairmaster." So it was good.
Yeah.
Went to a good home.
Good.
Before we kick this off, any news or thoughts you want to share?
No, no. I'm wondering. I'm wondering how many people went out and learned somebody else's dream. I wonder if anybody did
Oh,
that. I
interesting.
wonder. Yeah,
Huh.
I was gonna share a little bit. I mean, so I did a workshop with a gentleman. His name was uh oh my god, like now you got the camera on me and I can't think.
Excellent.
Oh my god, what's his
There you go. We'll
freaking
put it over
name?
here. Now they can't see you. It's like, yeah, they can't see you.
Oh, David Peters. Holy crap, that was painful.
It's yeah. Atrophy,
Anyway,
brain atrophy is sucks, doesn't it?
he's a photographer out of Northern California that I went to a bunch of his workshops. And one day, and this is like 10, 15 years ago, he's like, you need to go out and you need to learn somebody's dream. And he goes, how better to connect with your clients than to be able to like emotionally connect with them, right? And I thought, well, that's going to be the most impossible thing in the world. Like I can't just ask somebody what their dream is. And so we're sitting at lunch, and the waitress keeps coming by, and I thought, God, this is my opportunity, right? I got to figure it out. So I asked her. I said, "So what do you do when you're not here?" oh
Mm.
my gosh, like it was amazing. Like it was so amazing. And that's been like one of the things that I do all the time now out in the world is you just talking to somebody. Hey, how you doing? How's your day? Like, hey, what do you do when you're not here? Like what, oh man, you make friends everywhere.
Oh, that's
So
interesting.
it's really
That's interesting.
amazing.
Yeah, I'm gonna try
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try that. Yeah. Yeah, or you may reveal some demons. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you don't know, you don't want to know what I do in my spare time, Clarice.
It's got
Come
to
with
be well
me.
timed, right? Like you can't just walk up to the guy at the in and out counter and just be like interrupt his process. It has to be at the right time, but it can be
Yeah,
really amazing when you're hanging out
yeah.
with somebody, or maybe you meet somebody at a coffee shop and you're chatting and you're like, hey, what do you do when you're not sitting here having coffee? And they'd be like, oh well, I'm a neurosurgeon and I'm trying to solve the. You're like, okay, that's
That's
great.
interesting. Yeah, every
But
human has a
seriously, it's
story.
neat.
I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, in Silicon Valley, I know. I don't. I think it's down. It's like that down where you are, because folks that aren't from here. California is basically split into kind of two separate countries. There's Southern California, which is entertainment industry that feeds the world,
Right.
and
Right.
Northern California is technology. Apple, Google, all those that feed the world. The down when I was down in LA, the thing was like it was to an annoying degree. Whenever you meet somebody, so what do you do? Which is really, what can you do for me? That's what it sounds like.
Right.
And the same thing up here. Hey, what do you do for a living? They want to know what you do, where you live, and what you drive. And from those three data points, they can kind of extrapolate what kind of value they can extract from you in the future. So I
Oh
just make stuff
man.
up. Oh yeah, I'm with Greenpeace, and we're setting up solar farms along the coast of whatever. Just make a fiction. Why not? You'll never see it again.
Yeah, it's true.
So yeah. So let's do this. You ready to go?
Yep.
Let's do
Yeah,
the
yeah.
critique. This week's critique was friendship, or friendships, plural, however you want to interpretate it, from Troy Miller. Troy, any thoughts on this week's crop of images? Are you happy? Did they capture friendship correctly?
Yeah, there's a lot of really good friendship photos in here. I really like them, and I think that it's a feel good topic. So I enjoy looking at this, despite what we're seeing in the news right now. This is nice, right? Like this
Yeah,
is a nice vibe. So
it is.
I dig
It
it, and
is.
yeah, we got some good stuff. So
Good work. Good work, sir. Okay, well, let's do it. Let's dive in. Enough of this chit chatter. So here, let me take you off here. Here's this is the community, as you folks know. I think everybody in the chat is a member in the community for the most part. All right, so scrolling down, first one up is from Paolo. You know what? Just to be sure, I'm gonna reload this page because that's bitten us once or twice. Okay, here we go. First one's up from Paolo, and Paolo says complicity. There you go.
yeah, this is
All right,
cool.
what does this shot mean to you, Troy Miller? What does this shot mean?
It's a day out in the world, right? Like it's maybe a shopping day or whatever. I just think that it's a really nice chill day. There's a lot of details in this image that I really like. Um, I don't know, like, first of all, like just looking at the image, it's fantastic that it's a little bit wide. I like that. I don't think I would keep the window on the left.
Mm,
I know that Paolo shoots his particular format, so I respect the fact that it's a clean area over there. I said I think it would be my favorite, to go square and not have the window in there. But that aside, um, I love the fact that there's some details in here that we can look at, like the watch. I can tell what time it is. It's like 5 p.m. I think that's pretty
mm,
cool.
mm-hmm,
The one gal's on the cell phone, but yeah, she's looking over at her friend and looks like they're
mm-hmm,
laughing together. So it's not like she's distance from with the phone. And
mm-hmm.
the gal closest to our camera right, she's got that hair tie on her wrist, which
Wow, you saw all that.
um
Wow.
well, the hair tie especially, because a lot of times when I'm doing like family portraits and stuff, like the ladies always have a little hair tie on their wrist, and I always have to remind them, like, oh, they're like, darn, like, so I see those things I see.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, yeah. It's a curse. It's a curse. Yeah,
Yep.
I like the title of this. He titled it Complicity, and I get what he's saying here. Like these two women in the foreground. I'm sure they're not, but it could be taken that they are making fun of the other woman. I took it further, so I'm like, oh, they're just bagging on that bag that she's got because they just went shopping at whatever sig, whatever place. So look at her; she can only afford a $7,000 bag. Look at this $14,000 thing I just bought. So that's kind of what I was thinking from a concept. So I think he nailed the concept. Friendships, even if you're being complicit with a friend talking about somebody else, it still nails the topic. So thank you, Paolo. That's great. As far as that picture in the upper left that you mentioned, 100% agree with you. 100% agree. I would have. Yeah, probably not even clone it out of there. Just crop it and make this a square crop. But Paolo doesn't crop, so if it was my image, I would crop that, and then also these words up here on this sign. I don't know if those are pertinent. Like for this particular photo, if the street photographer wanted us to get the idea that these two women were making fun of this woman, this doesn't help that cause at all. So I would probably just remove that out of there. Leave the bag in there because I don't know what store that is, but I'm going to assume it's a high-end store. If it is a high-end store, then it kind of leads into the narrative that they're making fun of this woman. But other than that, I love it. I love the processing. I love the light and dark in the frame, and then the lighting on our foreground women kind of balance the weight, light pixels wise. But yeah, it's a fun shot. Very cool. Nice street
Right.
photography.
And yeah, and I would really love to just, point out that one of the things that's happening in this image, whether it's intentional or not, is something that we should all work hard to do, and that is using light and layers of light. So where we have the ladies on the right, they're getting sunlight, but they're against the shadow, which is wonderful. And then the woman in the lower left, like she's got this shadow behind her, so that we've got that direction of light. So we have all these layers of light, even though
Yeah.
we don't have a shallow depth of field through this image, right? So it's
Yep.
the use of the environment and use of the light. It simplifies the scene and creates depth. So keep an eye out for those kind of things when you're out in the world shooting. But that's one of my favorite things about this photo is the layers of light.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that too. Yeah, for sure. Because yeah, like you said, the women in the foreground are popping out, and the
Mhm.
dark, shadowy background becomes almost like a photographic background that they're popping out of. So you almost have bokeh through light, right? So you're popping them off of the
Right.
background through light. Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
cool,
yeah,
and
it's
it's a
layers.
crispy
It's
day too. Look how harsh that sun is.
yeah,
Yeah, so very
yeah,
cool.
yeah. I like it. I like it a
Yeah,
lot.
very good, Paulo. Thank you, sir. All right, a new member, like Jianhui Zong. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Jian says it's a perfect time to connect with friends on an early summer day. First of all, Jan, welcome to the community. Good to see you in here.
Yes.
And first time caller. Oh, look at
This is
this.
great.
Look at this. I'm just so folks. I haven't had time to look at these images, so I'm coming in fresh now. I haven't reviewed them, so I'm getting delighted each time I go through this. Look at that picnic table, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
That's
great.
awesome.
That's super
Yeah.
fun.
All right. So break it down for me. This is Jin's first submission.
Um, I I love the concept. I love what we have going on here. There's a lot of things to look at, and there's a lot of things that I really like about this image. I mean, I really do like everything about it. The thing where I struggle with images like this, well, first of all, let me say what I really love about it is I love the color and the vibrancy. I love the fact that we got these friends sitting down in the lower right hand corner, having ice cream together after a bike ride. That to me. That's the whole photo. That's where the story is, and then that's where kind of I wish that some of the things were happening in this photo is that I wish we were focused more on them. I wish we had less of the background. I wish we had less of like the stroller with the red covering on it. I feel like a step or two to the right, maybe moving in a tad bit closer, allowing the background to fall away, making those very, very secondary, would really, really help make this image stronger. And it would get rid of that dead spot that we have, or that blank spot we have in the lower left-hand corner. There's
Yeah.
really nothing going on there.
Yeah.
Um,
Upper
I
right
mean, it's a
too.
great capture. There's lots of fun. We have a slightly shallow depth of field, which is great.
Hmm.
But, where's our subject?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a bunch of subjects in here, I thought. And to your point, yeah, absolutely. So pick a subject. It could be the interaction between the folks in the lower right, which is interesting. They're clearly eating ice cream after a nice bike ride, so that's a whole little story right there. But what I found most interesting is just this oversized picnic table, right? So
Mm.
you're getting forced perspective already just built in. So why not play with that? That could have been, or go back there and do some shots where you're, well, first, if you don't know what forced perspective is, forced, FORCED, forced perspective. If you don't know what that is, just Google it and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's a lot of the stuff that the YouTuber Zach King does with his kind of magic YouTube stuff, but using oversized props like this, where you position people in the frame strategically and then so that when you actually snap the picture it looks perspectively correct, but then when you move a little bit you realize, oh, something's askew because that thing is too big, or whatever. So this would have been a cool spot for that. And subject wise, the folks that are just in love with the inappropriate public display of affection sitting on the bench there, I would have used them. Maybe use them as the main subject for the shot. These miniature people, just kind of hanging out, enjoying themselves in the park. So yeah, but really, really cool. Yeah, but less is more. Like Jen, on the in the critiques, we always say, who is the hero of the image? Like, what is i.e., what is the subject of the image? It can have multiple subjects if they're related or somehow connected, but we're always looking for, like, what's the subject and how are the supporting characters in the shot, i.e., the background and other elements, pointing you towards the subject or in some way supporting the subject. And if they're not, consider removing things that are detracting away from your subject, i.e., words or other faces or whatever. Like, for example, this cart or this carriage on the left here, not really in service of the story, and it's taking up all these pixels on the left here. Like, imagine if you had to pay $10 for every pixel you use. We'd be much more expeditious about about our cropping and composition, or $5 for every element in the photo. Then you kind of drill it down and
Yeah.
have fewer elements in the photo, only the ones that make sense. And like Troy, you're famous for saying, if you were painting this, would you spend the paint and the time and days to paint in that baby carriage on the the baby carriage on the left? Would you spend all the
Right.
days that it took to get all the shadowing right? Would you paint these leaves in? Do you really need those? Or would you make the hard decision when you're creating the work that, yeah, nah, I think this is more about these people or about the bikers or whatever. But yeah, but cool. Yeah,
I
yeah,
agree.
definitely go back there. Definitely go back there and do some shots if you're able to. Do some shots on the picnic bench. I'd love to see some forced perspective of that. Yeah, Land of the Giants, Laduna. Absolutely. Laduna is in the chat. In the chat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Laduna says Land of the Giants. Yeah, absolutely. You could totally lean into that, right? Or yeah, it'd be amazing. And you could have a caption, like some kind of caption on it or theme that says, sometimes we just feel small.
Oh my
the,
gosh.
the world seems overwhelming and oversized, and make it a motivational poster. All right, Jan, thank you for that. Very cool. All right. And Thomas says a couple of riders during the Friends of Bodie event in Bodie State Historical Park in Bodie, California, which Troy has been to about 5 million times.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great.
All right, take it
Uh,
away. What do you think?
what a fun image. I mean, this is a really fun image. I love Bodhi. It's such a great place to shoot, and there's so many textures there. And I think that toning it and giving it that sepia look and stuff is really fun. So that really kind of leans into that whole thing. A couple things about this is, first and foremost, like in this particular topic, I don't see friends. They're just these two riders riding together down the street. So I really don't see friends. And so that would be a struggle for this topic. And second, I really think the crop is benefiting the building and not the writers,
Mm,
which the writers are really kind of our subject matter. So I think that cropping in on those writers would help a lot. And then it would also help us see that third subject that is sort of dead center on the building that looks like they might be drawing their pistol, right? Like, look, they got their hand up and the elbow out, and So a fun shot, but it's got a couple things that I would do differently.
Yeah, yeah. Looking at this, I agree. But yeah, again, like back to Jan's shot. What? Who's our subject? Like you say, is it the buildings? Obviously, the horses are in the foreground, but their backs are to it. So, what I saw in here was, and I think this was the direction that the artist was trying to go. There's this guy in there. It looks like he's about to draw. He looks like
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
he's about to pull his 6 shooter out, and so there's some conflict going on. So yeah, I would have, yeah, like having all the space. Like you're saying, all the space of the building off to this side over here is not that necessary unless the artist was thinking, okay, I want to get these shadows in here, make sure these long shadows are showing. It shows it's the end of the day or the beginning of the day or whatever. So they wanted to show the elongating shadows. The only way to do that would be to crop this, so or to not crop it. But to that end, yeah, maybe lose some of the space off of the left side here. I was thinking that, but then if you do that, then you're kind of imbalanced. Like if this left side was here, Troy, let me take you off. So if this left side here was missing, it would feel like it's weighted too far to the left. And there's too much activity over there. So you'd have to make a decision.
right,
Compositionally, I think a square crop on this and forget about this. Forget about the shadow here. So do a square crop on this guy, thereby bringing this guy closer, and do some fancy, dodge and burn tap dancing to make him more evident in the scene. He's blending in with everything around him. And I had to really look to see him back there. And if he's a main character in the shot, then i.e. the only one facing the camera, then do some work to make him pop out and maybe suppress and push the buildings back there a little bit and make these
right.
guys pop out a little bit more because especially this guy on the right. I feel like he's blending in a little bit into the buildings and the grass there. So maybe make him pop a little bit. If it wasn't about this guy, like if this guy wasn't in there, well, you could take him out, like, and it could very easily not be about that guy. But if it wasn't, and all of this was just the background behind the guys here or in front of them, then I would suggest maybe throwing a slight blur on the background, which you can do very easily in Lightroom now with the new blur tools. So you throw a slight blur back there so that, with a gradual fall off so it appears natural, but then the viewer knows, oh, you want me to look at these guys in the foreground. Boom, that's it.
Right.
So, oh, and then one last thing, Troy. I don't know. Tell me what you think about this. What if you removed one of the horsemen? And so it becomes about the one lone horseman and the guy on foot back there, right? Now it has more attention. It looks less like a posse trying to round this guy up and more like a confrontation. So
Right.
that could be interesting. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Everything
Yeah.
you said. It's just
Cool.
there's so much going on in this image, and there's so many things that you can do with it. I think that following if our suggestions, some things that we talked about, play with this image and see where it goes for you. See how you feel about it. But again, to go back to that the whole topic thing, and that's one of the hardest things to do as a photographer or as any artist is to create something and put it inside of a small container, right?
Mm-hmm.
To say, oh, we're going to show friendship. So I'm not. I'm missing that here. I think that's my biggest thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's a cool shot. What about the processing? So, clearly going for that old sepia, old Western kind of look. Is it working for this shot?
Yeah, I think the sepia works great for this shot, except the fact, so having being like an old darkroom photographer and playing with film a lot,
Mm-hmm.
so I've always been sort of picky about sepia tones, where sepia tones, there's no pure white because a true sepia is the failure to properly fix your
It's a
print.
mistake.
And yeah, it's a mistake. Yeah, it's a mistake. So the paper yellows, and so your highlights need to have coloring in it as well. So like on the horse on the left, like there's some like pure white in there, and I'm like, that's that's not good sepia, you
Mm,
know.
mm,
But
mm-hmm.
that's just me being picky because your highlight should have some sepia in it. But no, it's a really nice effect, and I think it works very well in this image. And I love sepia, so I do a lot of it.
Yeah, yeah, it's cool. Very nice, very nice. All right. Thank you, Thomas. Appreciate you very much. All right. Moving right along. Karen Sweeney's up next. Karen says, volunteering for Friends of Pollock Country Park brings together people of like mind and also builds lasting friendships, plus happy, smiling faces. Also brings high vis, a photographic nightmare. Took this earlier today. Okay. All right, look at that. All right, very nice. So let's bring this up large.
That's awesome.
Boom.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Look at that. All right, take it away.
Yeah, this is fantastic. I mean, so I see this as a quick, let's get everybody together and do a quick shot. Because otherwise you would want to have chosen, one, not to wear high vis, and two, you would try to get like softer lighting so that it wouldn't be so harsh. So that's not what we're really talking about. The smiles and expressions, and we can see into the eyes, the smiling in the eyes and everything. I think this is amazing, right? Like, here's three friends or coworkers or cohorts hanging out together. Like, this tells an amazing story. This is perfect. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, I agree. This is really fun. It definitely fits with our, I guess, the topic of this here critique, which is friendship. Nailed it, Karen. Thank you. Looking at this though, and just for the record, so high vis, if folks aren't familiar with what that term means, that means high visibility outerwear. So when you're outside working, so people can find you easily, which is what they have on, which is highly reflective and very difficult to photograph. So try it sometime. Yeah. see what you get there. Yeah, try it with a flash at night, right? See what happens. But no, this is cool. Yeah, no other comments on this. This is a good shot. This is like one of those shots that these ladies, I'm sure, would love to have, right? And just because this is the timeless shot. 10 years from now, who knows what the situation will be? And this is one of the photos that folks will look back on and remember. You could see a million beautiful landscape shots and flawlessly retouched portraits and family shots and all this stuff, but a shot like this will trump them all. Boom.
It will.
Because it's, absolutely. Very cool.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Make sure they get this, Karen. All right. Thank you for that. Very fun. Okay. And what was this? What did you say? Here's the raw file looked combo selective color and lab masks. All adjustments were painted in using empty masks. Okay, so yeah, this is what the raw file looked like. That's the challenge she was dealing with. Look at that. And then the result. Yeah. Yeah, this stuff is so challenging. And it's always, let me bring us back on the screen for a second. It's always it feels like chasing the horizon for me when you're getting really detailed on and exacting with color and making sure that it reproduces correctly. And it's one thing, like in the old days, it was, okay, you gotta make sure everything's ready for print, right? It was all about print and making sure you're using the correct color palette or color space in order to ensure that you get a closer print to what is on the screen. But these days, not a whole lot of people are printing, right? There's, of course, lots of people are printing, but in the billions of people that are messing with images and uploading images, not a whole lot of them are printing the images, which means they're all being displayed on screen somewhere, either a laptop, but more than likely a mobile device, a phone or a tablet, and then close third is laptop, right? So my thing is, how do you correct for that, right? And I think it's a subjective question because lighting is subjective. So like I see reds differently than you'll see reds. So when you look at a screen, how do you make sure that it's within the gamut of acceptableness? And I was having a conversation with someone this weekend about this, and it was basically a binary choice. It's like either you correct. No, it was Greg Benz. I was talking with Greg Benz. It was either you correct for and make the best possible piece of art that you can. Damn the icebergs, full steam ahead. It's all about it's all about my work and getting the best thing before I release it into the world. How you view it is up to you. I can't control that. Kind of like raising kids. I'm going to do the best I can, but when I let it go, I don't know, things are happening. So there's that side of it. And then the other side of it is pandering to the masses, right? And doing the lowest common denominator. I want to create this work so that it looks great on iPhones. That's my target, because I know most of my people are looking at this on iPhones, so I'm going to target the iPhone and make sure it looks great there. I don't know, like, do you do that, Troy? Like when you're doing your pro work, are you targeting a specific group, or are you targeting doing the best work that or I don't know, maybe I'm phrasing it wrong, but putting out the highest quality color wise product that you can, versus, okay, I'm just going to make sure it looks great on this or these devices? What's your flow?
I don't think there's one right answer, because
Yeah.
it's going to come down to like, what's the best flavor of ice cream?
Yeah, butter
There's
pecan. Yeah.
no, yeah, right. There's no one right answer. And so, depending on your use case, it's going to change, right? So if you're an influencer, you have to create content that looks best on like a mobile device. So you have to
Sure.
think about
Yeah.
like, oh, what devices are out there? What color space are they in? And create that. For me, I print everything. And
Yeah.
so my clients need to have something that looks good in terrible lighting, because not everybody lights everything properly in their home. And everything is going to be printed, which is basically sRGB 8-bit color space, the way that it's printed. So
Mhm.
my whole goal is to make sure that everything fits in that container and prints the absolute best that it's going to print. And then whatever we put out on social media or we share digitally, it is what it is. And I don't really worry about it, because that's not my product.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, knowing your destination is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And it helps. When we were doing photo walks a while back, which we need to start doing photo walks again. TWiP does. But it was the guidance I would give at the beginning of the walk. Because I remember we did this one walk in Chinatown in San Francisco. And there was a crowd. You know how you start the photo walk, crowd of people, you give some general instructions, and then
Right.
everybody meanders and then, kind of reconvenes at a place to chit chat. And the guidance I gave was, you have to be shooting for something specific, not just to have a group of images to harvest and find a good one and then share it. Maybe shoot for something specific that's in your mind, and also for a specific use. Like, okay, I'm gonna do a shot because it could be anything. Like, I need a shot to hang above the toilet in the guest bathroom, right? And it's
Right.
decorated like this. So I'm looking for things. The accent color in there is green. So I'm looking for things with hints of obvious green in them, so that I'm gonna print it 8 by 10 or whatever, and it's gonna be in this kind of frame. So if you have that in your head when you're out there shooting, it becomes a little bit easier to capture, because you're tuning out a lot of the noise. Still
Right.
shoot things that appear in your periphery, like, oh, what a great portrait of that guy. Still do that, but now that you have kind of a target to go for, it makes things easier. Like, oh, I'm going to restrict myself to ornate doorknobs in and around San Francisco. Darn it,
Yeah.
do ornate doorknobs or red doors or something specific like that, and that tends to help a lot with this kind of stuff.
Agree. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. All right, so let's move right along. Next one up is Nora Zanotinus. Nora says, friends share, play together, and laugh with each other. Look at that. Sounds like our member mixers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at this picture of slightly more mature people in it, but yeah.
Slightly, not much more
Slightly.
mature.
I said slightly. I'm being generous. It's Monday.
Same jokes, same.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. What do you think? What would like? What, if
Um,
anything, would you change? Or what do you like? What do you hate?
there, there's a lot going on in this photo, so I'm trying to figure out the. So I was cropping it earlier while you were talking about Karen's photo. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so with this image, first and foremost, I mean, I'm drawn right to the kids. I love the color combination that we have in this image. I love the fact that we have one little girl in red and the blue shorts and the pants. Like, I just, the color harmony in here is really great. Where I'm struggling with, and I know Nora is very intentional about her images, so I'm wondering, why are we keeping the crosshatch on the window and that panel to the right? Like, I'm having a hard time wanting that window in there, because I feel it's distracting. And so I really just want to push it on the kids. And I say
Hmm.
it that way because I don't want to just be flippant about the choices that Nora made, and so I'm trying to like, well, maybe there is a purpose for the window, and that I'm not loving it. So for
Hmm.
me, uh, push in a little bit, get a little closer on those kids. I want to see, the left girl smile a little bit, and some of the details. So that's really kind of the long answer to a simple solution is to crop a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah. I think I like it as is, Nora. I love the colors, the lots of primary and earth tones in there. Very simple, and I feel when I look at this, like if you look at this and then just kind of mentally content aware delete the kids out of there and just look at the background, it's geometric shapes. We got rectangles, basically all rectangles back there except for that shadow at the top. So I would go even further, like to Troy's point about the window being distracting. It is. So I look at that window. I'm like, okay, why is it in there? Obviously, it's in there on purpose because it's a part of this. So why is it in there? So I get stuck in that little eddy of confusion and somewhat lose track of our main subjects, the kids. So all things being equal, depending on the ultimate purpose of this photograph, if all pixels are fair game in this shot, what I would do is remove the window, the shadow above the window, that rectangle to the right, and controversially, the young man with the red shoes. I would remove him out of there and punch in a little bit on our girls there and make it all about them. So now you got yellows. I even make the girl's shirt on the left pop a little bit more to be more in line with the yellows on the wall for continuity. And the green dress, maybe pop that a little bit so that it pops out of that green, and then boom, like don't zoom in to like this level, like this. I'm on the wrong place. Yeah, so not like this. I would maybe do a crop like this, slightly off, putting them in the lower left rule of thirds, kind of. But then removing all this makes it all about them and the joy that they're having together. So that's like extreme hackery. If you were to go in here and like, okay, I'm gonna make this picture of something else, but it works just like this. But even if you didn't do all that deletion and Photoshop magic with it, I still think that glass back there or that wall is a little bit distracting. So I'd find a way to maybe suppress that a little bit. Definitely kill the rectangle on the far right. The window, if you
Yeah.
must have it in there, leave it in there. But yeah, I would consider deleting the window, the kid, and that rectangle to the right, shadow above, and playing with the crop and saturation a little bit.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely agree. Yep. Absolutely agree.
Yeah, it could be a fun shot. Yeah, I mean it's fun like this, but it'd be much more. What's the word? It'd be much simpler, which I think would make it more impactful if there were fewer elements and we knew that these were our subjects right here. It's easy to understand what's going on.
Right. And I'm just going to suggest, to the listener, because there's always going to be somebody out there be like, oh, how dare you suggest I remove something from the photo, right? Like
Hmm.
I don't do that. um,
Hmm.
and I
Hmm.
just, I just want to challenge, anybody that thinks that way, that look, once you've taken the photo, however you want to take it, and we've had this conversation with Paolo, who's a wonderful member of the community, and we fully respect like his choices not to crop or do whatever. But the exercise of doing it and the exercise of seeing the image later without those distractions, if you will, can help you when you go out and create in camera. So maybe by removing this window and using AI to do that and playing with all of that, you might look at this and say to yourself, like, wow, I don't like that window as much as I thought, which means the next time you're in a situation like this, you're going to be, oh, look at all that blank wall on the left. I need a better angle. And then you can
Hmm.
create a better image or a more pleasing image in camera, right? So it's not always about let's change your art. Use those tools to learn how to see better so you can get better in camera shots later if you want. Or like Frederick and I'll just edit it. I'm okay with that, you know.
Yeah.
But I just want to address, both camps because I have a lot of respect for both camps. But for me, as a wedding photographer, I don't often have those choices to move, so I'm removing stuff all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's an age old like argument to edit
right,
or not to edit, and purist photographers, which and even me saying using the phrase purist photographers sounds kind of flippant and dismissive. It's not my intent to be flippant and dismissive. It's a choice, right? It's like choosing to, you know what? I'm only going to eat the carrots this week. You know, that's your choice. Who cares, right? You can do it.
It's not even that, right? I mean, like, we could go off on this like crazy, but unless you're shooting film and you're printing it on an enlarger, you're not a purist. Everything that's happening in your camera, there was some engineer that goes, this is how we're going to render green. This is how we're going to render blue. This is like, so it's a deep, dark hole.
It is. I mean, you say, well, film, no engineers are messing with my film. Yes, they are. There are people that figured out the chemistry for the emulsion, right? That's not random, right? So you can go all the way back, you know, or all the way forward to, you know, what I was saying about the rods and cones in our eyes and how we all perceive color differently, you know? So everything is a moving target. And we always couch that in, like Troy was saying, it depends on the ultimate use of the work, right? So if you're shooting something, you know, like this, and it's for a photojournalistic story on children in Italy or wherever, right? Or Peru in this case. Like if you're doing, this is intended to be photojournalism and you're passing it off as reality, then of course all bets are off. You know, don't move a pixel in here for the most part. Even then, there's some rules that can be bent if you're not doing newspaper or, let's say, military style photojournalism. But barring that, if you're creating something that's aesthetically pleasing, that you want to tell a story, I don't feel like, unless it's your personal choice, I don't feel like you need to arbitrarily restrict yourself from some, you know, unless it's your choice, right? If that's your process, you like to build ships in a bottle and do it the hard way, that's great. You know, if that's where you find joy, do that all day long. Just, you know, just know that you could do it easier with a little tech in there. So,
and I think because it's such a hot topic, it makes it so fun to have conversations around, because like neither one of us really care like what you do. It's so heated. It's like sitting around hanging out with friends and photographers, and we're not talking about anybody, and let's bring up photojournalism. And
that's right. I mean, and then the argument keeps getting more fuel, right? Every tech wave cycle, like I mean, just to compress it from, I don't know, illustration and painting to actually taking real photographs or taking a photograph. That's cheating, you know. Real artists use a brush, right? And then on and on. There's always an or. It's, you know, fast forward to film versus digital, and then within digital, RAW versus JPEG, and which format do you use? Yeah, all this stuff, you know, or I only shoot JPEG because I try to get it right in camera, you know, right? Those photographers, I treat it like slide film. That's what I shoot, right? So and that's fine, but that's your choice. Just, I would encourage you not to pass it off as law. That's all. I'm just saying. Everyone has their own choices of what they want to do, and it's perfectly fine what you choose to do with your images, whether you decide to beat them up or cherish them and not touch them.
Yeah, we vote to beat them up.
Beat them up.
I do.
You know what my saying was? You know, my saying was and is?
Yep.
What is it? Let's see if you remember.
Pixels are born to be punished, right? Isn't that it?
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
I listen.
Were born to be punished. That's their lot in life. So punish them. They love it. Just do it. All right, here you go. Thank you for that shot. That was Nora. Thank you, Nora. Sorry for obsessing over your shot, but you know how
Thanks,
it goes.
Nora. Look at what you started.
She wrings her hands mischievously. Craig Stampley is next. He's our person of no interest. And remember, our topic is friends or friendship. So let's take a look at this one. Love the crop. Love it.
Yeah, this is a really wonderful image. I love, you know, Craig has such a wonderful perspective on how he shoots things, and I really enjoy that. And, you know, this is one of those images where there's just enough of the car in there that we know what the guys are talking about. I love that, Craig, that you didn't cut off the right driver side mirror. I wish there was a little bit more space right there because I feel like it's a little tight because I like the mirror in there. That's a little bit sort of a nitpick. Compositionally, I think it works great as a square. My only thing is I love the friendship that's going on there. One guy looks like he's cold. He's got his hands in his pocket. The other guy's like smiling. Like there's so many good stories here. From a photographic standpoint, my only challenge is the dude on the right, like his legs and his shoes, especially his shoes, are almost paper white. Like they're really bright.
Oh,
So I would just
yeah.
work on bringing that down and being less distracting, and it's a winner, right? You've got this great story here. I love it.
Yeah, definitely tells a story. Yeah, the white shoes for sure. I'm partial to hyper white shoes, so I like the shoes. So I'll leave those. so, but the thing that I think about when I first saw the shot was I love the crop, I love the square, I love the balance of this. It's like a diagonal. This car is heavy, obviously weighting down the left side, and these guys are pulling it down on the other side. So it feels very balanced to me. This little bush up in the upper left, these hanging eucalyptus, I'm guessing that is. I would probably take that out of there. I feel like it's a little bit distracting, kind of hanging in there a little bit. Maybe these over here, but maybe not because there's a lot of other foliage in there. This kind of just feels disjointed and just kind of photo bombing. So I'd nuke that. And other than that, that's it. That's all I changed. I love the crop.
Hmm.
I love the choice of the blue key line that he stole from one of the highlights on the car. I'm guessing. Yeah, the guys in here. I don't know what this red thing is right there, so I might take that,
It's a
pull that up. Is
it's a
that part of the car?
no, it's a tow hook. Yeah, it's a thing. It's a tow hook.
Okay. Okay. So then I would
Yeah.
either leave it in or take it out if it's not pertinent. Because even if it's supposed to be there, if this is going to people like the owner of this car, definitely don't touch the car, right? But if it's just going to random people, then you don't want them distracted by this red thing. But other than that, I think it's awesome. Who do you think the car belongs to, if any one of these three guys?
I don't think it's any of them. I think they're walking around talking about cars, but who you never know, right? Like you never know. It could be one of the guys.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
The dude in the vest, I would vote for him.
The guy in the vest, yeah, because he's explaining it. I would have said the same thing, yeah, because he looks like he's like explaining how fast it goes and how much he paid for it and
Yeah,
why it's bad in this way, so the next version is better or something. you know. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
very
Hard
cool
to say.
shot. Yeah, cool shot. Love it. Like, what would you with a shot like this? What would you do? Would you like when you're done? So say Craig does a lot of shots, right? And a lot of them are like this and very excellent. Do you think the final resting place for a shot like this is to just live in Lightroom in a hero gallery? Should it be to publish it on your website? Should you the end of the road or the punctuation at the end of this creative sentence, should that be a print that you hang on the wall and just keep building a grid of prints? Like what should folks do with these awesome images that they're proud of other than throw them up on Instagram and get an instant, hey, nice shot, guy, and scroll past?
Man, that's a whole 4 hour discussion. And I know that's why you asked those questions.
Yes, I do.
So,
I'm good. I'm
you
getting
know,
better at that. Give me another 10 years. I'm getting better.
this is this is an increasing challenge for me. Is I go through these cycles where I go out and I create and I shoot and I shoot and I shoot and I chase the moon or I do model shoots or whatever, and I don't really have an outlet for them, and then I get really like creatively constipated, and I'm like, well, I have all these images that never went anywhere, so why am I creating all these images? And that gets really frustrating, and I would say that what is your I mean, if this is like a cars and coffee kind of thing, and Craig is just out there cruising around just to kind of have a mental day, I would say, sending these images to the guy who owns the car and building some friendships, and then, maybe sharing them on social media and be like, hey, I had a great morning. I went out and I did this. Um, it's tough, right? It's kind of like, what do you want to do with them? Do something that
Yeah.
makes them happy, but most importantly is let them be seen and get them out in the world. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's
I
important
have
because
a
the folks in our group, in the TWiP community and elsewhere, of course, but there's just this mountain of beautiful work that just keeps flowing
right.
like every day. Like I look at the This Week in Photo Flickr group, and it's just there's a of course there are a lot of mediocre shots in there, but then there are just a lot of really good thought out, technically executed, just beautiful shots in there. And then what comes to my mind is like, okay, now what? Like, what happens? Like, for example, knock on wood, something happens to you, which I mean, we're all going to go away eventually, but your body of work will live on. But if someone can find it or see it, like, are you just creating stuff and then when you're
Mm.
gone, all the work is gone? Like how does that work? I don't know. That's the demon I
Well,
deal with.
not to drag the topic out too much, but what I do is because I think about archiving all. I mean,
Mm,
like that's my whole thing. I mean, like I'm looking at my Apple Photos library right now. I've got a 1.2 million photos and 10,000 videos in there. And
yikes.
so, because what Apple has done with Apple Photos is that they've given you the ability to create a legacy inheritor of your content through Apple Photos, the library. So if something ever happens to you, you can pre-set up somebody that can inherit your library. So every photo that I've taken, every video that I've shot, every button push that I've created that I want to have, I've created sizes and galleries and albums within Apple Photos. And so I have those images there. Now, they're not the high res stuff, they're not the raw files, there's none of that. However, those images exist. So you could look at a photo and be like, well, Troy liked that tree enough to push the button, and there's the picture of the tree, right? So
Right. Right. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. We got to have a conversation about this. I think this is an episode.
yeah, this is
We got to
long.
talk about that because this is interesting because it goes for a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of people don't give a lot of thought to what happens, to all the stuff that you're involved with
Right.
after. And there's, obviously I'm sure there's whole podcasts and YouTube channels dedicated to that kind of stuff. But from a creative standpoint, when you think about, okay, all this effort and all this literal lifetime of knowledge that I have that I poured into this body of work of stuff that I like to do, wouldn't it be great if my great 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 whatever whoever knew that, oh, look at Grandpa Troy used to do this all the time, look at this work, he was good back
Yeah.
before holograms showed up. But you want that, right? You don't want to
Yeah.
feel like when my lights go out, everything that my timeline is deleted. You want your timeline to kind of continue, but how do you do that and be sure that people are gonna be able to find everything and see it and enjoy it or whatever? So, yeah, we gotta have that discussion. I think that would be great.
Yeah, it's a fun discussion. Yeah, it is a
Hmm.
fun discussion. I am known as in the family, I am known as the archivist. All my aunts and uncles, like if I go to a family's house, I'm like, hey, you guys got any photo albums I haven't seen before? Because I
Oh,
want to copy
nice.
those
Oh, you're
photos.
you're the proactive archivist. Yeah, I'm the
Oh,
I'm the
yeah.
reluctant archivist. Like, oh, you're a photographer? Here, take all this stuff and scan it in. That's me.
I just got. I'm helping my mom, who's now 78, and she
Mhm.
takes a lot of photos on her cell phone. So I'm helping her organize her photo album, and I found out that she went through and created all these albums that says, "Oh, Dad's family," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" Like she is literally creating. What would you call it? Like she's creating an outline, like a family tree of photos that I didn't know who these people were. So now I'm adding all this to my photo albums, and it's to me it's brilliant. It's a wonderful way to archive your work. So
Mhm.
whether you're a professional or a hobbyist or whatever, the photos matter, and giving them life by hanging them on a wall or sharing them with family and let them put them in their albums. Like
Yeah.
they use them. Yeah, don't hide them in the hard drive.
Yeah, it's a superpower, especially around the holidays, which we're moving into. Like, photos aren't that expensive, and framed photos make a huge impact, right? Even like I was gonna say, even photos that you take in portrait mode on your iPhone, but maybe especially photos that you take here. And process to perfection, and then create a nice 8x10, maybe I don't know, a portrait of your
Well, here's an
in-laws,
idea.
and print it and give it to them with a nice bow, silver frame. Come on, you're a hero.
Well, here's an idea for people, right? Whether you want to make this a Christmas gift or a gift for the family or do something, but I have a giant, like a photo board in my house that I built all out of steel, and I use magnets on it. But you could use cork, you could use whatever, and I am constantly printing images. They could be off my printer, kind of garbage, or they could be something I've sent into the lab. But we are constantly putting photos up and constantly cycling them through. And, it's kind of like the formal refrigerator, right? Where you put your photos. And everybody who comes over ends up standing in front of this board for a while looking at all the photos.
Yeah.
And then we just change them. We just take that stack, put them away, and like if it's a birthday party or like a holiday, I'll go find all like the fun travel stuff we did for the year, and I'll have those printed at like Target, and then we put them up on the wall again, and everybody looks at them and like, oh my God, I forgot that, and I forgot. Give those photos life,
Yeah.
We get so hung up on creating them.
See, doing that works if you're popular and social, Troy. You are popular and social. If you're not those things and antisocial and you live alone or whatever, then it makes less sense to like, it's depressing. Like, okay, let me put some other photos on the wall for me to look at next week. Like, like some place for people to see them.
I don't think so. I think that we've got friends that are solo. They go out and they photograph the world, and they do their things, and they travel, and like put those photos up, like live them again. And then when your friends come over, they're gonna be like, oh, where did you take this one? And you'd be like, well, that was when I summited Mount Everest last week. And they're like, you did what?
Conversation starters. So before we move on, here's a suggestion, one that I should probably take myself. Wouldn't it be cool if you just started giving your work away? Right? Like you create these hobby photos that look great, like some of the photos that we've seen here, like, Craig Stanfley's. What if you just printed this and gave it to these guys, right? If you know them, Craig, like if you know these guys, like make 3, not even big ones, like even 3 square, like 5x5 or 8x8 or whatever, frame them with frames from a cheap frame shop, not the cheapest frames are going to fall apart, but good looking, inexpensive frames, and boom, give it to them. What a gift, right? That's a gift that nobody else could possibly give them, period, from any place on the planet. And you gave it to them as the man who created it, so that could be cool. I mean, that's a to-do for the coming year.
Oh yeah.
All right, Craig Stanfley. That's it for yours, and that's the end. Let me reload just to make sure. Let me make sure nobody else snuck in under the wire. Scrolling down.
I just checked, so hopefully
you did. Okay, good. Yeah, it looks like that's it. So then it's favorite time. You have a favorite? Who's your favorite?
I do. I do have a favorite.
Palos,
let me see if I can pick is my favorite.
I was gonna say let me pick it. I was gonna say let me see if I pick the one that you picked.
Oh, sorry.
But that one's good. Yeah, no, absolutely. So this one, I
really love this image. I think that it speaks to friendship really well, so it fits right in that category. But I think what for me, being an old time photographer, right? Like I spend a lot of time in the world, and I photograph a lot by natural light. I look for these scenes. Like these scenes are so hard to find, and then to be able to put subjects in there and create that highlight and shadow layers and things, like it's so hard to find these things and shoot them. And I just think that Paolo did such a wonderful job, not only fulfilling the topic, but, creating an image that has this wonderful layering and light depth and emotion, and it feels natural. I dig it. Yeah. I really like it.
Yep. Yeah. Everything Troy said, I concur with. Very, very nice shot. And congratulations, Paolo, on being this week's favorite. Very cool. Yeah. Did you turn off your effects? We're not going to see anything in there.
I did. I think I did. I don't know. Let's see.
No. Yeah.
Yes, apparently I did.
It's off. What could they possibly be talking about? If you're a Mac user, this is what we're talking about. Now in the Mac, if you don't turn it off, when you do stuff like this.
Yeah, reactions.
There you go. There you go. There's a reaction right there. Right there.
Yeah.
You get reactions. Or this.
It does both. Yeah.
It's so,
It's so dumb.
so cheesy. So cheesy. So what's our critique topic for the next one?
Well, I was inspired by Ladudarina and her putting her computer together, and I thought that technology would be a really fun topic. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that should be interesting. All right, technology. That's easy. I only have to describe that. So what does technology mean? Yeah. That's easy. That is easy. It's easy. It's so easy that it's difficult because those easy ones can be sinister. You're like, oh, but everything's technology. How do I make something unique out of this?
Yeah.
So that should be cool.
Technology. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
All right.
cool.
Let's see what you got. Technology, no restrictions. Just make sure that it's awesome, and we'll share that. I believe our next critique is coming up on the 6th of November. Yeah, Monday, the 6th of November. We're already in November, man. You believe that? It's nuts. We say that every month and every year, but yeah, this stuff is speeding up. I think the Earth is speeding up in its orbit around the sun by at least like 30% or something. Cool.
November 6th. Yeah,
November 6th,
I won't be here,
which means you won't be here. Uh-oh. All right.
Maybe. I'm going to be doing a road trip with Lee Herbert.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. Yeah, Lee Herbert. Yeah, if you guys don't know who Lee Herbert is, he is a good friend of TWiP, photographer. Oh, yeah, he's more of a video. He's a professional videographer, contract videographer. In fact, he's flying here from Australia for some meetings that concern video. So, that should be interesting. Lee also is a YouTuber and has a channel that he started when he bought a new Tesla about a year ago called Not a Car Guy, right? It's called Not a Car Guy, right? Yeah, and it's from that perspective. It's just, regular dude that is not into all the numbers and foot-pound torque, yada, 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 and is just into how does this thing work for me, and I can't figure out how to do this, or this sucks, or this is great. So, yeah, check it out. Not a Car Guy is his channel. And, cool. All right, let's end it right there. We're right across the hour, a little bit late, 8 minutes. Any parting thoughts for the world?
I'm gonna go with what I said last week. Take some time and learn somebody's dream. Talk to somebody. Get to know somebody new.
I like it. Yeah, get to know somebody new and give them a print. Done. There you go. Right there.
I like it.
That's your mission. That's your mission. Anybody who watches the stream, this is your mission. Make a print of something. Could be them, could be one of your favorite shots, but have a conversation with somebody when they ask you, ask them what their dream is. And when they go on, I like to do this, this, and this. And they'll say, okay, so what's your dream? Well, I'm a photographer. In fact, here's a print for you that I made.
I just happen to have it. Yeah.
I just happen to have the 16 by 20 that I would like to give. Yeah. Have a nice day. Yeah. Well, cool, man. All right, we'll leave it right there. Thank you, everybody. So we'll see you all back here in the critique or in the community on November 6th for our technology photo critique. So start your engines for that. Can't wait to see. That's one of my favorite topics. So we'll see how that boils out. And then what's the other thing? Oh, happy Halloween. We're not going to see you. If you celebrate Halloween, it's on the 31st. So yeah, enjoy. And if you're a TWiP member, post some Halloween photos in the wherever, whatever space in there. I'd love to see. It could be you, your kid, or your house, how you decorated it, or somebody else's house, or just something that's Halloween related. Just throw it in there. I'd love to see what's happening around the world, if anything, for Halloween. So, all right. So we'll leave it right there. Thank you, everybody. Cool. And we'll see you on the 6th, and you will see you TWiP people in 4 days, 5 days, 4 days. All right. Cheers. Take care. Thanks, Troy. Of course.